In this video, we take a bowl blank off of a flowering crab tree that we recently cut down in the yard and attempt to turn a twice-turned bowl out of it. Will it turn out and look beautiful without cracks and blemishes? Well, that's what we're about to find out in this video, so let's get right on into it. So I'm out in the shop again today. Gonna be working with this flowering crab wood again. So you guys, if you haven't seen the last video that I did of doing a once turned greenwood bowl out of that stuff, that was my previous video, so go check that one out and see how that bowl turned out. But anyways, now in this video we are going to be taking the same wood and we are going to be doing it twice turned. So we are going to do a rough turning and make our foot and our tenon, let it dry out. So we're going to turn the bowl thickness to about 1 inch thick, do an even bowl wall thickness. Then we're going to let it dry or equalize, and I'll probably stick it in the barn where it's a little cooler and a little more moist so that it'll dry and equalize slower. And then once it changes shape and dries out a little bit, as long as it doesn't crack, we might seal the ends as well, because fruit wood dries out a lot faster and tends to change shape a lot faster. So just to keep it from cracking, we might put some anchor seal on it and just to seal those ends. But we're going to do that, and then we'll come back to it after a few months or maybe a couple weeks, depending on how long it takes. It might only be a month, might only be a couple weeks, but we'll keep checking on it, come back to it, throw it back on the lathe, and finish the bowl out so that we'll have a nice even bowl, and we'll see how that turns out. So I'll show you what I did with this bowl blank. I cut it out on the bandsaw yesterday. That was in the previous video. Cut it out and then didn't get to it yesterday, so I'll show you guys what I did to it to keep it from drying out anymore before we started turning it. So here I had turned that one bowl yesterday and we had all the damp shavings, so I just stuck it in the damp shavings. That way it would not dry out anymore, because I had not sealed the ends on this one, but that way it would not crack or anything, so that worked real well. And if you want to keep it, it would probably stay in there for a few days and be totally fine. But anyways, we're just gonna throw this on the lathe and we'll get to turning, and it won't take long to shape this one up and get a rough turning on it. And then you can do it two different ways. You could seal the ends after we finish turning. You could seal the ends with the wood sealer, whatever it's called. Now I forget what it's called. But anyways, you can seal the ends with the wood sealer, or you could do the paper bag method, where you take it, you put it in the paper bag with the wet shavings, and that way it'll dry out and equalize slower. That's our main goal, is to equalize these as slow as we can so that they will not crack on us. So the slower you can do it, the better, because that will avoid cracking and too much of changing in shape. But anyways, let's get this mounted on the lathe and let's get to turning. Got this mounted all up, got our tool rest set where we want it. Still got to adjust that a little bit, but I'll move it in just a little bit more. But it's pretty well level, but it'll take a little bit to get it perfectly round. And then we'll just start our speed off about at the midway point. Since these are pretty well round blanks, it doesn't bounce the lathe all over the place. But anyways, I'll throw you guys on the GoPro and we'll get to turning. Here it is, guys. I got the outside done. When you're doing a twice turn one, you just gotta remember it's just a rough turning, so nothing has to look perfect. So if you get little things like that, that'll all get taken off later. Foot looks ugly, but it doesn't matter. We've got our 10 in there that will mount onto our 4-jaw chuck, and we'll get the inside done. So we are starting to get a little bit of cracking there. Probably if we would have taken out more of that pith, it probably would have taken care of that. But we'll see how this works with the twice turns. So anyways, we'll get this mounted on here and start turning out the inside. Got the inside all turned out on that one, so I have an even wall thickness all the way through. You can see I kept turning it on and stopping and starting and stopping. That way I could check the wall thickness, make sure it's all pretty even, because the bottom is where it's extra thick because of that down there, but make that a little bit thinner by, you know, getting more of that wood out of there, but then you don't want to get too thin right in this area. So anyways, it looks pretty good. Now that's about all we can do for now. So except for might seal these end grains, which I think I'm probably going to do that. Just get that anchor seal and seal the end grains and do it on the inside. You don't have to do the edges, because I don't know if I said this before, but this runs, imagine it like a stack of straws. So the grain is all running this way full of water. This is the ends that have been cut, so that's where it's going to dry out. Water's going to be coming out of here, air's going to be coming back in. These are not open on this side, so you don't have to anchor seal the sides, just the end grain, probably up to about here is what I'm going to do. Same on the inside. Do those, both of those ends. If you wanted to just be safe, you could do the whole thing, but you don't have to. But anyways, I can go grab the anchor seal and we'll get this thing sealed up and then take it down to the barn and let it sit there for a few weeks to a month and come back to it and see how it looks and finish turning it. Here's the anchor seal I use. It's this green wood sealer. So that's what it looks like. And you just take that, put it on the inside of this. Probably go from here to here. I might just do the whole inside. Probably don't have to do these ends because that's, and then we'll just do these two ends. So keep it from drying out too fast. But anyways, let's get to sealing it. Okay, got it all sealed. So I ended up just doing the whole inside because with a brush that size, it's hard to get it just where you want it. And then did the ends here. So I didn't do that side. This side ended up getting covered, but whatever. It's not 100% perfectly centered. You can tell by that white line and that. But it should still dry pretty evenly. And don't forget to do your foot either, because that's got some end grain on it as well. So the post is not as big of a deal. But anyways, we'll let this dry, and then I'm gonna take it down to the barn and let it sit down there so that it can start equalizing and drying out so that we can turn it into a nice bowl. Here we are, guys. It's been about a month or a little over. I'm not sure exactly how long it's been, but these have pretty much equalized. This is the one that I showed you guys that I turned earlier. So it does have a little bit of mildew on it just because it was down in that humid barn, but that should just turn right out. And then I also have this bigger one that I will also be finishing and showing you guys. So this one I twice turned about the same time, well, rough turned, I should say, around the same time as this one. And so we'll see how the bowl looks when it's all done. Just want to show you guys the small one that we started on, and then also this larger one. So let's get them mounted up here on the lathe, and let's get to turning. The setup I've got going here is just a jam chuck setup. So I had turned this block of wood, and I've got a bigger one down here. So this is just a larger one, just looks kind of like that, and it clamps into your chuck here, and then it's just pressure from the rear and you're just pressing it together. That way we can finish up this outside, get this foot nice and smooth, because it'll be, as it dried, it'll have a little bit of a wobble to it, and then finish up this tenon as well. Now we can get this all sanded and get rid of all that, get it nice and sanded and smooth, and then we'll flip it around and I'll work on the inside. So anyways, let's get this lathe flipped on and start turning. Got it all sanded up. Popping sound is just the wood up against that, the wood on the inside. So that's just the normal sound that you hear sometimes. But you can put like a cloth in there if you want to, but then sometimes it just spins out, and I just found it's easier just to do this. It works. So anyways, got this all sanded up to 1000 grit. So I'll pull it off and we'll switch it around, stick it on here, and start working on the inside. All right, got the inside all turned. Looking pretty good. Now we're just gonna sand it up and then show you guys what it looks like after that. And then we'll start working on the foot and removing that tenon. Inside is sanded. Looks beautiful. Got that nice shine on there. So now we're going to be using the same jam chuck thing. Can be using this, but instead of just using wood to wood, we've also got this. It's just some foam, and that's just where you just thin foam stuff. I have it in a whole bunch right there, but because eventually it'll wear a hole through it sometimes. So I'm gonna throw that on there with this. We'll start working on the foot. Got it mounted up again. Have our foam in there to protect the finish. And now we're gonna just start turning down this. We won't touch this because we already sanded that. But we're just gonna turn this down and finish the inside of this foot. Hollow it out a little bit, just not to go through the bottom of the bowl. But finish that off and then take it clean off. And then we'll get to sanding that up and then we'll have a finished bowl. Alright, so we just finished this. You guys all saw what happened there. So, usually I'm able to get, let's see if we can get this focused. Usually I'm able to get pretty close to there. And I was doing, what I normally do, but every once in a while, you just get a weak one where it just breaks off. But usually you can go smaller than that anyways and just finish off. But what I usually do is, you get down to that point and then you push your tool up against it to cut it off, and then you flip your lathe off and then cut it off, because you don't want it to flip off like what happened with me. But usually I go a little bit smaller than that. But because I've upgraded my tool rest and this is round, as you can see on the top, it didn't damage the bowl, which I am very thankful of. nothing noticeable on the outside. So the foot just got a little bit dinged, but we'll just sand that out. So anyways, now I will use my sander and we'll get this all sanded down and then take it in and oil it. Well, we got the foot all done. Not able to get all the way into some of them cracks because it's such a smaller bowl. On that larger one, you see the size difference. That one will definitely be able to get a little bit better in that foot, clean it up a little bit. But anyways, there she be. Now I'll just take her in and get her oiled up. Well guys, here's the final product, all oiled up. Got some amazing grain structure in this bowl right here. Really pretty twice turned flowering crab. There's that one, and then here's this larger one that I had showed you guys. I have a short on this one, so make sure you go and check out that video as well of me finishing this bowl. But it's got some amazing shine to it and grain structure. As you can see, the bottom turned out really nice, just a really beautiful flowering crab bowl. But anyways, I've got lots of new tools and trees that I'm going to be turning into bowls and other things, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of those videos. And also, I'd like to know what you guys like to see turned out of a tree, so shoot me your ideas down in the comments. Let's get some ideas rolling around here. I'd like to make some videos of things that you guys would like to see made, and also would like to know what you guys are thinking of the videos. You know, if there's anything that you would like to see changed or things, just let me know, because I want to make videos that are enjoyable for everyone. But anyways, hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and I will catch you guys on the next one.